to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo. Today, diving into the film on Giants' seventh round rookie, Thomas Fidone, who I think has really flashed something here in the preseason. Today is roster cut day, so we'll find out more about whether or not he made the roster, and we'll update you that later on in the afternoon. But I want to take a look at some of the plays that he's made this preseason and demonstrate why he's worth rostering potentially, and if not, why he'll be a valuable member of the practice squad. So right here, this is in the Giants Week 3 preseason game. It's going to be a play-action pass from Tommy DeVito and up the seam in this 12 personnel. 12 personnel, for those of you who do not know, that's one running back, two tight ends, and as you see here, we've got Fidone and we've got Greg Dulcich, so that's 12 personnel, and you're going to have a double seam here. You're going to have two tight ends attack up the seam and go vertical, and Thomas Fidone is going to be the one to get the ball. You're going to watch closely here this inside release that he takes and why it's clever. So he's going to go with this inside release and cross over the left tackle here. And that's going to create a little bit of a buffer between the tackle and the pass rusher. That's going to help the tackle engage this block easier. So an inside release almost to check the edge rusher and create some space and just help out his offensive lineman. And then after he makes his inside release, he's going to go ahead and burst towards the outside right up the seam. Having good spatial awareness, seeing this defensive back rotate over to Dulcich, but seeing this linebacker a little flat-footed in the middle here, understanding and recognizing behind him, there's all of this open space to sit into. So going to go ahead and not drift into him, but rather take that inside to outside approach. Good spatial awareness, a great throw here from Tommy DeVito on the money. And then this is where Thomas Fidone really demonstrates his value, is in his athleticism. A play like this is not normal for a tight end to make. He's down at the 1 yard line, but the effort to get down to the 1 yard line was truly extraordinary. Ball comes in at just the right time before the safety can crash down and make a play on the ball. But as the safety goes low, Thomas Fidone goes high and jumps right over him. And I just think the balance here, his ability to get up, keep his feet right there. I mean, this is a great still frame. That's a ballerina move right there. And then to keep his balance and jump or dive right down near the end zone and get down to the 1 yard line. He's got really rare athleticism. He's got a huge wingspan, and he's really athletic for a tight end. Those are going to be his main selling points. So on this play, again, I think that we saw a good play design, a good throw from Tommy DeVito, but some good spatial awareness from Thomas Fidone, and then just that athleticism after the catch that really separates him from a lot of other young tight ends that the Giants may be considering for their roster. Next play here, Thomas Fidone scored a touchdown in this game, and that's what we're breaking down on this one. The Giants are actually going to be running a little bit of a two-man route combo here. You can't see the second route. It's off screen from this angle, but it's just going to be a slant route to the inside, and Thomas Fidone is going to run just kind of this quick out slash flat route. So it's really just going to be a slant and flat two-man combo. It's almost a pick play, right? Somebody is trying to run one defensive back into the other and create some space for the other wide receiver here, but that's going to be the route. Thomas Fidone not lined up as an inline tight end, but really as a slot receiver here. So he's got this number 22 defensive back. That's a nickel cornerback on him. And let's see what he's able to do to get himself open. So it's actually going to come down to a really solid release here with that little shake and bake here. And also shout out to Nick Filato for posting this clip and the last clip on Twitter. That's where I got these two from. But I really like his release here. He's going to kind of just burst out of his stance. 1, 2, 3-step release, and then he explodes into that flat. He's going to stem it upward to the goal line and then bring it flat right across the front of the goal line and towards the front pylon. And that's really a great job stacking this cornerback. As you see, he gains this leverage. Now he's got the cornerback completely behind him, and now he's going to stack him, stay in front of him, and go flat across that front line. And like I said, here's that receiver who is running the slant route here, so a little bit of a pick play. And now if you could see, cornerback on the screen, Fidone's not, so he's got a little bit of separation, and then it's just a well-timed throw right into the hands of Thomas Fidone, who makes the catch. So really what you see on this play, a strong catch at the catch point, because it is definitely contested. Defensive back does recover and tries to knock it away. So some strength from Thomas Fidone with those big, strong hands and with that nice wingspan that he's got. But also, I just really like this route. I think this is a really well-run route here. Really nice release. Releases outside to try and create that pick naturally for his receiver, but then to stay flat and come back to the football on the goal line is really well done. That's a receiver move. That's a really good play there by Thomas Fidone to secure himself a touchdown in the Giants' final preseason game. Going from the Giants' final preseason game to their first preseason game, this is when Thomas Fidone scored that 2-point conversion here, delivered by Jameis Winston. Jameis takes a snap. Play really just breaks down. Nobody open. This could easily become a coverage sack. I mean, you've got blanketed coverage here all across the board. And then now Jameis Winston's going to have to kind of scramble around, extend the play, and make something happen. And then he eventually sees Gunnar Olszewski break to the outside here. Gunnar Olszewski comes in and then breaks towards this back pylon. That's where Jameis Winston's going to go with it, but it's going to get stolen by Thomas Fidone. And really, all there is to break down on this play, first of all, I think if you watch Fidone, he does have some pretty good awareness to kind of stay aware of where the quarterback is. His eyes are on the quarterback the whole time, knowing, okay, we're in a scramble drill now. Play is broken down. Let me find a way to get open. Let me find some space to get into so that if the ball does come my way, I'm ready for it. So that's what you're going to see Thomas Fidone do, just kind of drifting back this way. But of course, this is all off script. So these guys are going to kind of run the routes right on top of each other. Ball intended for Olszewski. But what I really want to highlight here is just that wingspan, that ability to get up, get large, and make the play. Fidone has some really long arms and some physical traits that can't be taught. And I thought this was just a really impressive rep to be physical, go up there at the catch point and just outreach your man, right? He's got a guy draped all over him. But again, it's just a nickel cornerback that Thomas Fidone is going to actually, this ends up being the outside cornerback because they're going to switch the coverage there. But this is just pure strength and pure athleticism. This is that size that you can't teach. And so a really impressive play by Thomas Fidone. Once again, you're seeing awareness, spatial awareness, and just that wingspan and athleticism popping up time and time again here on his film with a really impressive contested catch on a throw that wasn't even intended for him from Jameis Winston. Next play here, Thomas Fidone back at the inline tight end position, and the Giants are running the shotgun bunch formation over on the right side. And what they're really trying to do is confuse all of this man coverage in here. When you've got the three receivers bunched up like this, it's a little bit hard to keep track of your man, especially when they're all crossing over each other. And what they're going to run here is Antoine Wells Jr. is the outside receiver on this. He's going to run kind of a shallow crosser. You're going to have Gunnar Olszewski come up and hit that corner route, and then you're going to have Thomas Fidone release into the flat underneath. And so this is just going to create a whole lot of natural picks, running people into each other and rubbing off of one another, and just creating open space against this man coverage for Tommy DeVito to read as a three-level read, essentially. If Antoine Wells Jr.'s shallow crosser, his coverage man happens to run into somebody, he'd be wide open going across the formation. You hit him. But then it just becomes, without that route, a low-high read here where you're trying to read, if it is a zone, perhaps, does this outside guy go back or does he crash down? And then you're going to take whichever one is open. So here's what the Giants are going to run, and here's what they're going to see post-snap. Once again, you're going to see just that man coverage, all of that bunching up. See how you got these two receivers running into each other, but if you rewind it just a little bit here, you'll see that this linebacker who was covering Thomas Fidone, this man right here, is actually going to run into his own man. So again, creating that natural pick, just that quick bump right there is going to create all that space for Thomas Fidone into this flat area. Then he's just going to run this quick flat route. And now look, you've got to go past three guys to get to your man, and there's two other guys there who could also crash down on it, but they're all occupied. So essentially highlighting a really good play design here to get a quick open receiver for Thomas Fidone to throw to, or for Tommy DeVito to throw to, which is Thomas Fidone running into this flat. But the ball comes out a little bit long, and again, you're seeing that wingspan just continue to show up for Thomas Fidone. He makes use of that on every play, and once again does so here with a one-handed catch, bobbles it a little bit, but then turns upfield and picks up a little bit extra yardage. Would have loved to see him break that shoestring tackle and find his way down towards the 1 yard line or even into the end zone, but didn't happen for him. Again, though, a really great play with his wingspan, just impressive reach ability for Thomas Fidone. And I think that's one of his, really just his calling cards, is just his wingspan and his size at that tight end position. All right, next play here. And just a reminder, Thomas Fidone is 6'6", 256 pounds. So I keep talking about his size and his wingspan. There's the measurements. Giants are actually seeing cover 2 pre-snap on this one. They're going to get a little bit of a cover 3 as you wind it forward. You'll see that free safety drop down into the box here. And then there's going to be a single high, and it's just going to be a cover 3 essentially. Is what you're going to get there. So what's Thomas Fidone running, though? Well, Thomas Fidone is going to be running basically this deep hook route. He's going to release inside, and then he's going to try and sit down here as an open spot in between some of these zone coverages. And he does a really good job with his spatial awareness, I think. As you see, once he clears this linebacker, he's able to recognize, okay, there's all of this space to sit down in. Let me turn around and just kind of drift and keep myself open. So that's what he does. Now, this is a 4th and 6 play, so they got to get the first here. They got to get past this line to gain. And Tommy DeVito, rather, is not going to find his open man immediately. I almost think he wanted to hit this, but was afraid that Fidone was kind of taking that backside dig away from him there. So he's going to hold on to the ball and kind of try and extend it, and he's going to drift in the pocket. But as you notice there, Thomas Fidone was here. He drifted with the quarterback, created himself a nice pocket, sitting in that zone, good spatial awareness. And once again, how about that wingspan to go up there, high point the football, and bring it in? It's actually a really sick throw from Tommy DeVito. I have to highlight that. He's drifting across his body. He's got a guy in his face. I mean, a weaker ref calls that a roughing the passer penalty for hands to the face of the quarterback. But he sidearm slings it around the offensive lineman. And right there, you see Thomas Fidone with those big hands and that huge 6'6" wingspan going up there and high pointing the ball on a crucial 4th and 6 reception. So once again, what you saw on that play, the wingspan, the athleticism, and the spatial awareness. I really like this kid. Thomas Fidone really impressed me this preseason. These are a handful of the plays that I thought he stood out on. And I'm excited to see if he does end up making the final roster today. And if not, hopefully he's back on the Giants practice squad. I do think as a 7th round pick, this is a developmental guy that the Giants will want to stick around. This is a guy who was a 5-star recruit, basically coming out of college, coming out of high school rather, was ranked ahead of Brock Bowers, had some injuries in college, and now 7th round pick for the New York Giants. But a really impressive athlete and a guy who I think has a lot of developmental upside. So what are your thoughts on Thomas Fidone? Let me know down below in the comments section. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel if you're new. But until then, I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go New York Giants.